Welcome back to Open Window Politics. Today we're going to be doing a prediction between Pete Buttigieg on the Democratic side versus J.D. Vance on the Republican side. So Pete Buttigieg has been floated as a potential Democratic challenger to who at the moment looks like the most likely Republican nominee in 2028, that being the current Vice President, J.D. Vance. I think at the moment it is more likely that J.D. Vance would be the Republican Party's nominee than Pete Buttigieg would be the Democratic Party's nominee, but still fun to do a little hypothetical prediction. So we're going to start with Nevada and then move eastward. So I'm going to add a tilt rating. I don't think the tilt rating will be necessary for the state of Nevada, however. Going to put that into the lean blue margin. This state did go to Trump in 2024 and has a Republican governor, so Republicans were optimistic about just the way the state was trending. I think that many of those trends will revert if the election were to be held today or in this November. And so that is going to be a Democratic victory. And then as far as the state of Arizona goes, I think Buttigieg would be able to win this, but it would be by a narrower margin. So that is going to be the state of Arizona. 11 more electoral college votes for Pete Buttigieg. And then, as you can see, we'll end with the Rust Belt, but both candidates are from the Rust Belt region. Pete Buttigieg, former mayor of South Bend, Indiana. If I remember correctly, he now lives in Michigan. And then J.D. Vance, of course, former senator from Ohio, so he is clearly winning his state. Ohio used to be a very competitive swing state, but has since drifted further to the right. And I think that J.D. Vance would be able to win Ohio for sure. So that's going to be those two. And then I do feel, since I was talking about Michigan, I will call that for the Democrat Pete Buttigieg. And then we'll do the other two Rust Belt states. As far as a Republican victory, I'm going to go with the state of North Carolina in J.D. Vance's column. I think that this state in the long run will become Democratic friendly, but for now I think on the presidential level it would result in a Republican victory. And then as far as the state of Georgia goes, going to call that state for Pete Buttigieg, bringing him up to 273. And Georgia has voted fairly consistently for Democratic moderates, some less so than others for sure. But I think Biden was able to win this state, and I think if Biden could have won it in 2020, that Pete Buttigieg would be able to win it with, I would say, an even more favorable environment for Democrats at the moment than 2020 was. So I think that that would be a Democratic victory. And then I generally do think as the Rust Belt states go, they generally determine the presidency. I do think that J.D. Vance's best hope of these three Rust Belt states is probably going to be Pennsylvania, but I forgot to do the district here in Nebraska. That is going to be lean blue for Pete Buttigieg. But back to these three states, I think that if Michigan were to go blue, that the rest of the electoral college votes in the Rust Belt would go for Pete Buttigieg as well. So that is going to be an end result of 303 electoral college votes to 235. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.